Do you run a lot of Pinterest? You brought up Pinterest a couple times.
I'm the only guy on Pinterest. I'm the only believer in Pinterest ads.
Yeah. Why?
They're phenomenal. They're so good. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, they're so good. They are reliably 10% of Facebook revenue or 5% of Facebook revenue. Look, if you're spending less than $10,000 a day on Facebook, it's probably not worth it.
Yeah.
If you're spending more than $20,000 a day on Facebook, you should probably have some Pinterest ads going, depending on what your product is.
This is Limited Supply, the place for refreshingly real takes on what D2C is really like.
We're your hosts, Nik and Moiz. Let's start talking about money. TV advertising isn't just for big budget brands. Smart operators are getting started with as little as $10,000 using the Tatari platform to run ads across both linear and CTV. Check out the 3-minute demo video at tatari.tv/limited supply. Okay, Nick, special episode 4, season 5. This is a Q&A from the Slack community that we got.
Yep.
It was fantastic. A bunch of people asked.
I love the Slack group.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's so clean now.
Yeah, it is
organized.
Yeah. Okay, first, how do people join the Slack group if they want to?
You go to limitedsupplypod.com.
Okay, fantastic. There's about 3,000 people in the Slack group. It's free. There's no advertising. There's no shilling.
Yeah, we would kick out those people. I think last week we banned 3.
Yeah, we're kicking out people.
We get a weekly report of people getting banned.
That's right. Yeah. And look, if you try and shill to somebody, that person DMs us and they're like, look at this screenshot of this person trying to sell a product. Yeah, you will get kicked out of that group. I really like that about our group. But it's also really helpful. In fact, my favorite communities there are one, Amazon, which I didn't even realize was going to be super helpful.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. The help wanted. And then we're starting to create channels specifically for different sizes. So if you're sub 1, sub 10, sub 50, sub 100, or sort of in that range.
Yep.
So that you can communicate with peers. Because obviously the guy who has a sub $1 million business may have different answers to the question of what should your tech stack look like than if you've got $100 million business. You should have different answers.
Yep.
Okay. So we talked about the Limited Supply Slack channel. You can join. The link is going to be in this pod. If you're watching on YouTube, it's going to be below the video. But let's start responding to these questions.
Let's do it.
Which one do you want to go through first?
All right. So, Moiz, what do you see drastically shifting in 2023 and beyond in the world of D2C, specifically as it relates to apps, platforms, and software vendors? This is from James Dome.
Okay. 2 things. One is I see prices for certain things getting cheaper, which is finally the case.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but there's just more competition. The industry is more experienced. Before, when you wanted to do reviews, there were only a couple guys offering reviews. Today, Klaviyo's offering reviews. There was only a couple guys there was no competitor to Klaviyo. Now there's a competitor to Klaviyo, and that's going to impact new business at Klaviyo and maybe make them think about pricing. Same thing with text messages and PostScript, right? People are getting wiser and there's more competition when it comes to some SaaS platforms. And I think that's going to make the business a little bit easier in terms of the cost that we have when it comes to that kind of stuff.
I agree with everything you said there. The only other thought I had was a lot of these companies that raised a bunch of money are not hitting their valuation targets for their next raise. And so naturally their prices are getting cheaper, or they're opening up lower tiers that have more features just to get high volume of users in.
I think Triple Whale redid their pricing and they said for 75% of people, this means your price will be cheaper.
Yeah.
Which I think they said.
And they just launched Founders Dash, which is the OG Triple Whale, completely free.
Yeah, which is pretty amazing. I think a couple other things are going to happen. One is from a VC world, the dollars will be very hard to come at if you're a young business.
Good.
So pre-2013, pre-Dollar Shave Club and Harry's and all those guys, the real investors in consumer brands were consumer investors like the VMGs of the world, the
KKR.
TSGs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They were basically we understand consumer. You built a brand and you brought it to $30, $40, $20 million in revenue, but you don't know how to make this into $200 million in revenue. And so we're going to step in and do this. And VMG, and I know those guys because at one point I thought about raising money from them. They invested in Justin's Peanut Butter, in, Baby Gannick's diapers, in all of these brands a long time ago, really helped them grow and then exited those businesses. Then they had to start competing with VCs.
Yeah.
And they were like, look, we used to pay 2x revenue for a brand. These guys are now wanting 10x. We can't compete at 10x revenue. This is crazy. And so
10x projected revenue pre-launch.
That's right. Yeah. 3 years later. Yeah, that's right. And so they were like, okay, they're like, we don't know what to do here. And now VCs are like, well, you know what? Our investments, some of them panned out, but a lot of them didn't. And a lot of them are taking a really long time. And maybe the 10x valuation that we were giving these businesses isn't accurate. Mm-hmm. And so now I feel like the old investors, the VMGs of the world, the San Francisco Equity Partners, the Encore Capitals are back being like, hey, look, remember us? We're now the game in town again. We know we were disciplined. Maybe we lost a little bit of that discipline depending on who we were, but we still understand this game and we're really good at this game. And, we're going to be the investors in town. And that means that valuations are going to come down as well and be a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah, totally agreed.
What are the changes that you think are going to happen?
I think pricing is going to get a lot more competitive. Many of the apps that raised, they just need users. To some extent, making software on your own or stitching together some no-code tools is also more accessible. And so I don't know that every subscription platform has the ability, like what does Recharge do or, some of these subscription apps do to justify a multi-$100 a month thing when it's really just Stripe tokens that Stripe holds and charges.
Sure.
And so I think one, it'll get cheaper on one side. On the other side, the companies that do charge, they're going to have to innovate a lot.
Yeah. I have two other comments. One is I think people are going to be more omni-channel much faster. And I think that's already happened. Like, I don't think this is specific. This probably happened 2 years ago. Amazon and brick and mortar much earlier than we used to think. Dollar Shave Club didn't get into brick and mortar stores until like 2 or 3 years ago. It took them, almost 7 years. Native took 5-6 years. I think now it's going to happen much sooner.
Yeah.
Okay, my other question is, what do you think will happen? Will AI have any impact on...
Dude, I was going to ask you what your thoughts were. I feel like 2 months ago, there was not a single conversation that didn't involve AI in terms of AI assistant, generative AI copy assistant, whatever, or even like AI for ad creative. But I don't know. I don't feel many people are talking about it anymore. Or maybe they are and I'm just not in those conversations, or they're different levels of conversations. I'm not at that level yet.
I think it'll be marginally impactful, but not revolutionary.
Agreed.
So I think that, yes, it might make it so that you can create your own ad images. You don't need to go out and get an UGC
or studio.
UGC made. Yeah, exactly. Just by typing in exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And that would be a big deal, but I think that's still far away. You might be able to get some more images right now. It'd be like, here's my hit bottle, show me it in a tropical environment or something like that. I think it'll also be helpful with subject lines and emails. I think Klaviyo already does a pretty good job of this, helping make that subject line really, they have suggestions now. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the suggestions a couple of times and I was like, these are actually pretty good and not awful. Like I was almost like, I would never, when I saw this, I was like, I'm never going to look at those because this is some machine's not going to be able to do as good of a job as me. And then I looked at them and I was like, okay, never mind. These are pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think AI will have impacts that we never see, like through Facebook ads.
For sure.
But I think the day-to-day usage will be more minimal than people were probably talking about 2 months ago.
I find it really useful for research, like being able to say, find me research that claims this with supporting evidence or research, or cite the research papers. That's been probably the most helpful thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to question 2. Okay, let's move on to the next question. This question was asked by Frank, and this got a ton of reactions or a ton of upvotes, he said, in episode 4, you mentioned you talk about the perfect daily report. What metrics do you look at on a daily basis, but didn't have time to cover and don't think you've ever touched on the topic again? So basically he's asking, what metrics do you look at on a daily basis? You're looking at a ton of brands. Are you looking at any of those metrics? What brands are you looking at on a daily? I'd love to understand this from 2 parts from your end. What metrics do you look at on a daily basis for Sharma brands? And then what about for brands that you work with?
I mean, Sharma brands is probably more like around revenue or like ad spend for clients.
Wait, I'm sorry, revenue for Sharma brands? Is that like changing on a daily basis?
No, not at all.
And then there's ad spend to get new clients, or there's
ad spend on behalf of our clients? Like how much are we investing?
Yeah.
But we do have one master report with all of our clients. And this basically houses revenue. This is like, you set your time period. Revenue, orders, items sold, because that's different than orders, average order value, conversion rate, funnel metrics, so sessions to add to cart to checkout, conversion rate by top pages, so like top 5 URLs that drove the highest conversion, revenue per session, page views, profitable ROAS, so like $1 to how much profit, percentage of new sessions, individual channel ad spend versus individual channel revenue, which is always, over attributed, top SKUs sold, so basically top products sold, shipping costs, and then the top ads, like what were the top ad creatives, their spend, CPA, and ROAS.
So you have that master report that you craft for brands?
Yeah. So we build a custom report when brands onboard with us, and it's a live URL that they can pull up at any time. And then we also have one master with all of our clients.
With all of that information on there?
Yeah.
So you can just scroll. Wow.
You just scroll. It's like you scroll a mile.
And is that automatically, is that like updated through APIs, or are you actually?
Yeah. So we have a reporting platform we use. We authenticate everything when we onboard. And then it's just live. Yeah, we never have to touch it again.
Wow. So you have your own triple whale, basically, that you offer to your own brands.
Exactly.
Do you ever look at metric? Do you ever look at how many CEOs, or let's say you onboarded Hint Water, how many times do they like open up this dashboard that you've created for them?
I'm not sure, actually. We should check. I know that for most of our clients, they look at it daily and probably multiple times a day. It's like the one dashboard they use for the e-commerce business.
Yeah. And is it a SharmaBrands? Like it's your link, right?
Yeah, it lives on sbrands.co.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a lot.
Yeah.
Here are the metrics that I look at on a daily basis. Revenue by new customers versus returning customers. Okay, so I'm like, let's say we did $50,000 in revenue today. 30,000 is coming from new, 20,000 is coming from returning. Then I'll say, I'll look at a couple of things. If we sent out an email campaign, then I'll say, what was the open rate and click-through rate from that email campaign yesterday? If we sent out an SMS campaign, I'll say, what was the click-through rate and revenue driven from that SMS campaign yesterday? So I'll do that if we've just sent out an email or an SMS. The other thing I'll look at is Facebook ads, Pinterest ads, and Google ads.
Do you run a lot of Pinterest? You brought up Pinterest a couple times.
I'm the only guy on Pinterest. I'm the only believer in Pinterest ads.
Yeah. Why?
They're phenomenal. They're so good. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, they're so good. They are reliably 10% of Facebook revenue or 5% of Facebook revenue. Look, if you're spending less than $10,000 a day on Facebook, it's probably not worth it.
Yeah.
If you're spending more than $20,000 a day on Facebook, you should probably have some Pinterest ads going, depending on what your product is. If you're 10,000 or True Classic, or if you're a men's brand, if you're Gillette, there's no reason to be Gillette's a bad example, but Pinterest is just women.
Yeah.
Or I think it's just women, but it is really good. It's good. Not really good. It's good. I will look at Pinterest ads on a daily basis. I guess I agree that a lot of people don't use it.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, you probably shouldn't, because either you're a men's brand or you're not spending enough. But at some point you should. So I'll look at every single ad in Facebook, Google, and Pinterest from a UTM perspective. The spend on that ad going down to, we spent 15 cents on this ASC ad creative, to we spent $12,000 on this ASC creative, and the CAC from that ad on a daily basis. For native, I probably did this for 2.5 years, every single day.
Yeah.
I didn't miss a single day. Like, well, if I took a day off, if I took like a Saturday off, or a Saturday and Sunday off, like I'd have bad Monday, because I'm like, I got to do Friday, Saturday, and
So wait, you would pull your own numbers in manually?
Not only that, I'd create an Excel spreadsheet, and I'd be like, this is the spend on this creative. This is the number of orders we've got. This is the CAC from this creative. This is the revenue from this creative. Then I'd look at it all and be like, what is CAC from Facebook? What is CAC from Google? What is CAC from Pinterest? And then I'd say, what is overall, like, what is blended CAC? Because, like, some of the times you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
Because some people are going to like click a Facebook ad, go to Google, not click an ad, and purchase. So, you're not going to get that new customer. You're not going to recognize that customer inside Facebook, inside Google, inside Pinterest. And so then I'll look at it from a blended basis of like all new customer revenue, all new customers, all spend. So I'll say, let's say we spent $20,000 today and we got 100 customers today. Okay, great. Our, spend it's $200 per customer today.
Got it.
On a daily basis, no matter how many ads I have. And this will take me an hour every single day.
Yeah. I remember at Hint, when I joined, I had one person on my team, and her entire job was pulling these reports together. there used to be no good reporting tools back then, like there are today. You can just plug into Peel Insights or Triple Whale, and you get an iPhone app. Back then, it was so manual.
When I am really hands-on in a brand that I'm trying to help out, I will do this for that brand and personally do it and do it manually. And I won't be able to help that brand for 30, 60 days until I've done this for 30, 60 days. And then I'm like, now I understand your business because I understand what's working and what doesn't. Is it lookalike audiences? Is it business as usual? Is it ASCs? Is it retargeting? Like, what's working here? What isn't working? What sucks?
Right.
And where can I help? And I still do this manually for brands on a daily basis. Like I did this, it's Saturday. I did this morning.
Yeah.
Like I did it this morning for a brand. And this takes a bunch of my time on a daily basis doing this for multiple brands because I'm like, and it's a real pain in the butt sometimes, but it's so powerful. And I understand that using the Triple Whales of the world and all those guys, the reality is doing it manually is so
it's like handwriting something versus typing something.
You
remember it way better.
And like, you look at it and I'm just like, oh my God, this is a lot of, I'll be like, this creative bombed yesterday. What happened? What's going on here? Are there bad comments?
Then you go and you see a comment.
Are there bad comments on it? Was it just this one day? Has it been multiple days? And then the way I'll start looking at it, like I'll do this for 60 days for a business. And then I'll start putting in yellow anything where I'm like, this is not performing for more than 4 days. You should probably shut it off.
Yeah.
And so it's super powerful. And in the Slack channel after this, I will post a blank spreadsheet of what the outline looks like.
Oh, that'd be sick.
And it's very simple. I kid you not, where I've done this every single day. And every month I start a new spreadsheet for every brand that I do this for to look into it, to be like, what's working and what isn't. When people ask me, what do I do? This is the number one thing I do in e-commerce. I spend all my time doing this.
Yeah.
Because it helps me, it informs me on what's working and what's not.
Totally.
On a monthly basis, I'll be like, what does it look like from a cohort perspective in terms of returning customer rate, repeat purchase rate? What does our open rate look like? What I love in Klaviyo is those like benchmarks.
Right.
Those benchmarks to be like, how am I doing here? What's my open rate look like? And so on a monthly basis, I'll look at a bunch of stuff and create a full P&L. If I were running a business, which I'm not, I just do the Facebook stuff. But on a daily basis, we'll look at this Facebook ads. And I don't understand why everyone doesn't do this, especially even when Native was doing $75, $80 million a year, I was still doing this personally. And I wouldn't let anybody else do this because I was like, you're not going to give a shit like I care.
Right.
And I don't understand why businesses don't do this, why CEOs don't do this. They don't want to get their hands dirty, and this takes a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, they're too good for it.
Yeah, don't be too good for this. This is too important to give up.
Yeah. Okay.
And if your business is built on ads or marketing, which all of these e-commerce businesses are, don't give this up.
All right, next question from Janelle. Janelle says, if you're building mostly solo at the moment, who is the first hire, and what is their role that will give you the most momentum?
Okay.
I have two options here.
Yeah, let's hear yours.
Okay, so mine are, from what I've seen, most of the time, if somebody's building solo and they haven't failed, they're usually good at storytelling and sort of describing the brand and building the brand. What they're usually not good at is either product and ops or growth, like bringing customers in or making sure the product gets proportionally better over time. And so the two people I wrote are, depending on which one you need more, one is a growth person, somebody who can help you from e-commerce management, merchandising, making sure the site's working, testing new layouts of landing pages, overseeing your ads, getting better creative. And the other person is probably on the product side. Like, how do you make shipping more efficient? Or like we were talking about a couple episodes ago, knowing how big the box should be to hit the right mark in the shipping cost. Or, looking at your 3PL bill and making sure that's good. Or just making sure you're getting samples far out in advance so that, you don't get stuck with Chinese New Year when it's time to place your order.
I think that's the exact right answer. I would add one caveat to that, which was at Native, our first 4 hires were customer service people.
Yeah.
But I think that you're right about a lot of that. Hire customer service people, but a lot of people would say maybe your first hire should be customer service so that you don't have to do it. I'd say, yeah, your first hire can be customer service, but don't ever stop doing that, or don't stop doing it for the first couple of years, even if you have that person, until you're at $20, $30 million and feel like you really have product market fit. Until then, you want to understand the problems of the business. You want to be like, what you're going to understand is what an unboxing experience is doing poorly, when somebody doesn't love a scent, when products are leaking in transit, when shipping is taking a really long time. All of that stuff you're going to understand if you're doing customer service. And like a lot of times if either you outsource that or make a really junior hire for that, those people may not have the confidence or courage to come to you and say, hey, look, I think there's a problem in the business. Mm-hmm. And I found that a lot. Like sometimes I'd be like, I think we're out of stock on something. And we'd be like, yeah, we are out of stock. And I'm like, how has nobody told me this? Yeah. What is going on here?
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to foster a culture of like, hey, you should be able to communicate even with problems.
For sure.
Problems you've created, no problem. But I think doing that customer service is really important. I think customer service can be your first hire, but I think that ultimately, yes, you should still be doing it. I think you're right. That person who helps you with marketing is your next hire.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you want to create emails. You can't create enough emails that you should be creating. Yes, you want to create creative for your Facebook ads. You probably can't do that all yourself or fast enough to do that yourself.
Yeah.
You want a second set of eyes on those emails. You want a second set of eyes on SMSs so you don't accidentally say, where the fuck is this in that SMS, right? You don't accidentally type that in the SMS instead of in Slack.
Yeah.
Like you want that second. So I think that is the next hire. I think the operations person, you're absolutely right. I think especially if you're north of $5 million in revenue, now there's meaningful cost savings to be had. If you optimize your shipping, if you optimize your box so it weighs a little bit less, if you optimize where your 3PL is and the method that you're shipping, should you be shipping USPS Ground Advantage or UPS MI or FedEx SmartPost? Those are worthwhile conversations to have now because they will cost you $10,000, $20,000 a month if you're doing $5 million in revenue. You don't need an operations person when you're doing sub $1 million in revenue. You should be able to do it yourself. If you have so many products that you can't do it yourself and you're doing sub $1 million, you can probably cut a few of those.
Yeah, totally. Cut many of those.
Yeah. But that is a really good question.
Yeah. The folks over at Tatari shared some interesting stats with me. Over the past 3 years, brands that were running TV ads on Black Friday, Cyber Monday saw a 50% boost in conversion rates compared to a typical week during the year. That's wild. Fabletics was one of those clients, and their CAC dropped by 70%. They had 110,000 incremental site visitors, and branded search increased by 25%.
So if you want to supercharge your holiday campaigns this year, you should try TV ads, and the best platform to use is Tatari. Check out their 3-minute demo video and other case studies at tatari.tv/limited supply. Okay, next question from Sean Puri. He says he's the MFM guy, My First Million. Sean asks, what percentage of revenue do you target for headcount ads during a business scale up? Let's say you're at year 2 or year 3.
Yeah, I'm curious what your take is here.
Good question. Very, very low. And mine, I think a lot of people spend way too much on headcount.
Yeah, I always come back to you.
Way too little on headcount.
Yeah, I feel like your rule of thumb is for every $1 million, you get one employee.
I think it's even less than that, actually. Like at Native, at our peak, we were doing $750,000 per month per employee, which is insane.
Wow.
So we were doing, $8 million, $9 million per year per employee.
Wow.
I think that's too low. I think that is a good method of thinking about it. But I'd say probably $2 million. Like early on, maybe yes, $1 million per employee per year. So if you're at $10 million, you can have 10 employees. If you're at 20, you can have 13, 14. I think at some point it gets worse.
It tapers off.
Yeah, exactly. You have to do $1.5 million, then $2 million.
Right.
So it definitely depends. I would say I target under 10%. If I see businesses with 20%, if it was Sharma Brands, I'd say this is different. You're not selling an e-commerce business.
Sure.
You need people to run your business. But if you're an e-commerce business and 20% of your revenue is spent on headcount, that is a lot of lost dollars. And I'd be very, very worried about that. I would say under 10%, I feel good. Under 5%, I'm like, you're doing really well. Under 2.5%, which I've seen, you probably need to hire more, but I like you.
Yeah. A lot of the clients that we have at Sharma Brands, most of their digital team is probably on a marketing side, it's no more than usually 3 people. And that could be a brand that's doing $100 million in D2C or $25 million in D2C. But they have a lot more like agencies and contractors that they work with, and they might use and then turn off for a bit and go back to them as they need versus having all these people internal.
Yeah, I do think that our business is unique in that we have so many third parties that it can skew this number of okay, well, you have an agency, doesn't that count? And yeah, it does count. For us, When we sold the business, we were 8 employees. And I think by far the largest group was customer service. It was 4 or 5 employees in CS. You can do a lot. Like we all underestimate what we can do.
Agreed.
You can probably do a lot. And if you're like, it also depends on the mode that you're in. If you're in growth mode, you probably need to focus more on products and strategy and branding. And if you're in like maintenance mode, which is 2 or 3 years, you might be in maintenance mode. You might be like, look, all I need is CS, some operations, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of stuff does depend. And like, when I was running it, I was like, look, I'm good at Facebook ads, but I'm not good at Google ads. And I'm not good at, and our Pinterest ad rep at the time, I'll tell you, was running our Pinterest ads. That's how good he was.
Yeah.
And then we had some agency helping us with some emails when probably like year 3 or year 4 as well.
Yeah.
I think the answer to Sean's question, which is a really good one, is less than 10% is right. There are reasons that it could be more than, even with agencies, I think it's probably less than 10%. There are reasons it could be north of 10%, but like north of 20%, I'd really be like, you have to justify this because this seems like if we were in a board meeting and someone said I'm 10%, I'd be like, we can move on. Someone said I'm 2%, I'd be like, why is it so low? And if someone said I'm 20%, I'd be like, we need to have a conversation. What's going on over here?
Yeah.
Why do you have some?
For like some of the boards you sit on, do you know where that number is?
They're pretty good, actually. Most are pretty good. There are instances, not on boards that I sit on, where I've seen where I'm like, why do you have so many people in this marketing department? Like, and the reality is you have to be really disciplined as a CEO because the first thing anyone does, like when someone's hired after a couple of years, you know what they want to do? Manage somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, I'm 24 now. I need to manage somebody. I need 3 direct reports.
Yeah.
And like one, I hate I want 0 direct reports.
The fewer the better.
To me.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference between like, when you get to an executive level, like when you're growing, you're like, look at how many direct reports I have.
Yeah.
It's awesome. When you're an executive, you're like, please, nobody.
Yeah, please stop texting me.
That's right. I think that's true. But I think that there will be as much work as you give people, right?
Yeah,
you're like,
totally.
So the more people you hire, they'll find a way to look busy or keep busy.
Yeah.
And I think that's really scary. Like if you fired 3 people on your staff right now, what would change in your revenue in the next 6 months? And if the answer is nothing, then you should stop hiring at least.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to look at it.
Agreed.
Okay, let's go on to the next question.
All right. So Arbon Show asked, what percentage of revenue do you target from upsells and cross-sells? Do you use post-purchase upsells? And if so, what is your go-to post-purchase upselling strategy? And I will also caveat by saying your case is probably going to be very different than the average because of your travel size deodorant that was sold, which I think made for like, 30% of revenue or something?
Okay, so first, the guy who told me about this was Ezra Firestone. Every time I think about Ezra Firestone, I have such warm and fuzzy feelings.
Yeah,
I'm like, thank you so much. He'd be like, has anyone done this post-purchase upsell? And I'm like, this is the greatest idea in the history of the world. And at the time we launched it, we were on WooCommerce, and we actually had it so that the post-purchase upsell was a separate Stripe charge, which was deadly because we had to pay an additional 30 cents on that charge.
Yeah.
And then 2.9, it wasn't 2.9%. I think we were like 2.1, but like, we had to pay that separately. And then we figured out a way to make it so it's on one Stripe token, not 2 Stripe tokens, 2 Stripe charges. I don't think about it as what percentage of revenue do you target from upsells, cross-sells. I think of it as, particularly post-purchase upsells, I think of it as what percentage of people are opting into that post-purchase upsell. The other thing I think about when I'm thinking about post-purchase upsells is how can this be, like, here are ways to make the opt-in rate really, really high. And I remember Ezra saying this, which is whatever you're selling, sell it again for cheaper. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you just bought eucalyptus and mint deodorant for $12. Would you like to add another stick for $10? Because now you look like you got ripped off, buddy. This is cheaper now, baby. And so that's going to be not just like, do you want to buy deodorant? Do you want to buy the exact same thing you bought for a little bit cheaper? That probably has the highest opt-in rate and is probably the best one you can go to. For us, I wanted to sell something that I thought would have a high opt-in rate, but wouldn't cannibalize sales. So if you buy 2 coconut and vanilla deodorants, now I'm not going to see you for a while. So we'd sell travel sizes to get people to buy, like, to be like, look, I'm hoping you put this travel size in your purse, in your travel bag, wherever it is, or in your gym bag, and you use it when you need those. When you use it, but you don't, like, it doesn't cannibalize sales of a big one.
Yeah.
It's just when you're at the gym, you're not using the gym deodorant, you're using our deodorant. My goal would be a 20 to 25% opt-in rate for the post-purchase upsell. And I think that's some of the most valuable real estate in the entire ecosystem.
For sure.
You've already got the customer's payment information. They've already purchased. You've got their address. You've got their shipping information. You're going to ship them a box. So your pick and pack fee is pretty much set. Your postage is pretty much set. The question is just, do you pay an additional item fee to your 3PL or do you not? So the costs are very low here for you. The question is just, can you get them to make that purchase? And so we got them, I think it was like a 22% opt-in rate.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one other thing that we did at Native, which I have not shared in the past. I should have done a Twitter thread about this, but fuck it. We tested a $3, $4, and $5 price point on that travel size. The opt-in rate did not dwindle at all, did not go down even 0.1% at $5 and at $3.
Wow.
We made more money at $5, obviously, than at $3. The opt-in rate didn't change. We didn't go with $5. We charged $3.
Why?
I wanted people to love us.
Yeah.
And I was like, people were like, why don't we charging as much?
Today, what would you do? Would you still be at 3?
Today I would definitely be at 3.
Yeah.
Maybe even 2, because
really?
I care less about money. People would be like, why are you charging more? And P&G would be like this. And I was like, I don't want to be Gillette, where every time I love Gillette. I used to shave, I used to be clean shaven. I'd be like, I want a Gillette razor blade. It feels so good across my face. Feels like, sublime.
Yeah.
But every time I use a Gillette razor blade, I'm like, oh my God. Like I go buy a 4-pack at Dwayne Reed.
They're so expensive.
Somebody first I've got to call a police officer to come with me and escort me. And he's got his gun drawn. Like, if you take this, I'll shoot you. Yeah. Because it's the most valuable thing in there. And then I go there and I'm like, I need a firm for this Gillette razor blade.
Yeah.
And they're like,
you go raise some money.
They're like, yeah, your Amex Black has been maxed out on this Gillette razor blade. I was like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Yes, we can charge more and make more money. There is a gut check element to all of these things. And, Peter Thiel always asks this question, what do you believe that other people don't believe? Or like, what's your most controversial opinion? Mine is that data is overrated. There is a gut check where I'm like, we can charge $5. It's not the right price point. It's going to make people hate us. And you got to think about this for 30 years, 50 years.
Yeah.
I want people, when they think about our brand, to want to get up and applaud from their socks. And this is going to get people to boo us.
Yeah.
And that's why we ended up charging $3.
Interesting.
What do you see with the brands that you're working with when it comes to upsells and cross-sells?
Usually the upsell revenue will drive an additional 15 to 20% revenue. So if the AOV is normally 50, they can get to 60, early 60s as AOV with upsells. But I didn't look into the post-purchase upsell.
Okay. Well, I love that you answered I went on for 10 minutes and didn't answer the question. I think you're like 15%. Okay. I think we have time for one more question.
Can we do this one?
Which row?
Row 9.
That's exactly what I was looking
Okay, cool.
Okay, Kujit asked this question. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
It's Cooljeet.
Cooljeet. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yes, Cooljeet. You are bootstrapping a new brand. You have limited time and resources. What are the 3 tools, things you want to invest time and money into?
I love this question. This is probably the number one question I always get.
Okay.
And I think if you're 0 to 1, there are so many distractions in starting a brand, which is, I think, what make it so exciting and fun to do and fun for people to talk about. And you think you're going to be getting sponsored and taking photo shoots and doing all this shit. But really, all it comes down to is incremental goals. So the first goal is, how do I get $1,000 a day in sales? The second goal is, how do I get $5,000 a day in sales? Then 10,000, then 25,000. And then you don't have to worry. Like, once you hit 10,000, you pretty much don't have to worry about the next increment. It's almost guaranteed to come. But most people fail to get to the $5,000 a day because they focus on all the wrong things. And I think the 3 things you got to focus on is the offer. So how do you position the offer? And it doesn't just mean the dollars off, but it means, how are you talking about how somebody's going to use the product? When are they going to use it? Why are they going to use it? What's it going to do for them? The second one is the ads. So like, how are you making it enticing to even earn somebody's attention and click to get to your offer? And then the third one is the landing page. Are you providing enough information there? It's not even just a landing page, but it's kind of like the funnel. Is it easy to check out? Do you have an easy cart? Does your cart glitch? Like, there's a store we work with on the side, and their cart keeps breaking every time they push a new update to their site. And it's like, we can't get to $2,000 a day if the cart keeps breaking because, it just doesn't work.
Check out, you motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the only thing you got to fix.
There's like 60 people adding to cart and 0 people checking out. But everybody gets caught up in, what app should I use for this? And what thing should I use for that? And really it comes down to just these 3 things: positioning, the ads, and the funnel. And then the one app, or 3 apps I would say you should definitely have. One is No Commerce, so you can actually you can collect customer surveys post-purchase. And if you're a new brand trying to get to $2,000 a day, that really helps you unlock why somebody came to purchase. And also you should ask, how long did somebody know about this company before they decided to purchase? The second one is reviews, because the more social proof you have, the easier it becomes to acquire customers.
Yeah.
And I think that's someplace that's a spot that a lot of people don't really focus on. And focus on in a way meaning like, are you creative? Are you understanding when the order is being delivered and then making sure you're sending an email that catches attention to ask them to come review? And then the third one is Microsoft Clarity, which is you just throw a pixel on your site. It's completely free. And you can look at heat maps, scroll depth maps, and user recordings. And I've spent hours just watching user recordings. And then you rearrange a page and boom, a page just converts much better.
That is a fantastic answer. First, I love what you said originally. The ad, the offer, and the landing page are the 3 things to focus on. I think that's so true. Don't focus on partnerships. Don't focus on PR.
No.
Don't focus on things that aren't scalable. Like, you got to focus on things that work and like are scalable. And so I think you're absolutely right about those 3 things. Don't focus on, you want to make your brand look good, but you don't need to focus. You don't need a full blown, brand strategy for your brand if you just launched a business and you're bootstrapping. Like, you don't even need very good branding. Like, you can it can be mediocre. Okay, so I love what you said later on as well. Reviews, we're both investors in Okendo, so you should use Okendo, but like, reviews are great and super important. I think this is something you should focus on early on, because when someone lands on your site, the first thing they're going to want to see is social proof.
Right.
And that social proof is reviews. That's how we buy on Amazon. In 2015, if you were starting your business, I'd say the only thing you need to focus on is reviews on your site. Now I'd say you probably want somebody to do 1 or 2 YouTube videos as well, because people are going to search there for social proof as well to make sure that your product is legit, you're not a scam, that it works, all that kind of stuff. MS Clarity is such a good one. I've never used it, and that is such a good one. And it's free.
Completely free.
Yeah. This is the one I'm going to disagree with you on, which is No Commerce. I know the No Commerce guys, and I respect those guys. If you're bootstrapped and early on, you should be emailing all these guys personally.
Yeah.
So in the same way that, like, the way to ask for a review is to email that person and be like, Nick, you just bought a deodorant from us. Thank you so much. We're a small family business. We really appreciate it. If you loved your experience with Native, please, here's a link. Please leave a review. If you didn't, please respond to this email and tell me why you didn't love it. I'd love to make your experience better, and I want to make this brand better, and I want you to love it. Let me know. Thanks, Moiz. That's how we got reviews. People would always be like, how do you have all these reviews? Are they fake? And I'm like, what are you talking about? We just send out this email. Are you not sending out an email? Like, this isn't rocket science.
Yeah.
Like,
the worst thing is you just set up the generic email review capture.
So
then you're like, it's not working.
Yes. Yeah. You need to personalize that.
Yeah. Agreed.
But I also think that, like, from an early brand standpoint, I would have no problem. You should call the first 100 customers you get. Send them a message and be like, hey, I'm Nick Sharma. I just started this brand. I think you're really going to love this product. If you have any problems, let me know. I'd love to talk to you for 5 minutes, if you've got it, about why you purchased Native deodorant. Do you got 5 minutes? Like, here's my phone number. Call me anytime. And I think that's really powerful, because then you're going to say, how long were you thinking about buying something from us? What got you excited about it?
Yep.
All those things. You'll get a lot more information from those 5 minutes. So I do think that there's a place for No Commerce. I think it's a little bit later down the line, but if you're bootstrapping a new brand, it's not surveys. You need to do the work of, like, getting into people's phones. Text them, hey, Nick, you just purchased from us. That's so awesome. Thank you. We're a small brand. I really appreciate it. Why'd you choose us? Like, get into conversations so you can learn about the customer.
I love that idea.
But otherwise, I love what you said. Ad, offer, landing page. The honest answer is, do not focus on PR. Do not do
PR.
Yes. Do not do, any of those types of things. There are so many distractions. Trying to avoid those. And the 3 that you mentioned are right on point.
It's crazy to think about. Like, I feel like 2 years ago, any brand that was starting, like, one of the early questions I'd always get hey, what do you think of this PR agency? Or what's a good PR agency? And it's like, dude, you're about to pay these guys $25,000 to do the same thing you could do. Get an email and email somebody and suggest a pitch.
And that email will get you 5 sales. Like you're going to be on BuzzFeed, and it's going to be maybe 50 sales.
Right.
And you spend $25,000 this month, and you spend $25,000 next month too. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Are you rich?
And it's also funny because in the long run, looking back on all those companies that thought they were just building brand, those companies didn't build any brand.
That's right. Yeah. Brand comes from sales. People using your product, loving it, and talking to other people about it. Not from being, and featured in the New York Times once.
Right.
That's not how you build a brand.
Totally.
Okay. I think that's all the time we've got. We're going to do another one of these. So again, if you want to ask questions, please join the Slack group. It's limitedsupplypod.com. It's fantastic. It's really starting to blow up. We've got thousands of people that are active there. No salesmanship, no pitches. It's really good. Please join it. And this was a ton of fun, actually. These were great questions.
These were awesome. I loved these. Honestly, our Slack fucking rocks.
Yeah, it is.
They know us.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah.
Okay, looking forward to episode 5. Talk to you guys soon.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next time to cut through the noise in CPG, retail, and e-commerce.
And if you enjoyed this episode, then why not share it with a friend? And be sure to subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss the next one.